Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 9, The Appearance of Demon Vitrasura, verse number 43. Ataevam swayam tad upakalpayasmakam Paramagurostava charanashatapalashachayam Vividha vrijina samsara Parishramopashamanim Upashritanam vayam yat kamenopasaditaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Dear Lord, you are omniscient, and therefore you know very well why we have taken shelter at your lotus feet, which provide shade that gives relief from all material disturbances. Since you are the supreme spiritual master, and you know everything, we have sought shelter of your lotus feet for instruction. Please give us relief by counteracting our present distress. Your lotus feet are the only shelter for a fully surrendered devotee and are the only means for subduing all the tribulations of this material world. Purport. One need only seek shelter at the shade of the Lord's lotus feet. Then all the material tribulations that disturb him will be subdued. Just as when one comes under the shadow of a big tree, the disturbances caused by the heat of the scorching sun are immediately mitigated without one's asking for relief. Therefore, the whole concern of the conditioned soul should be the lotus feet of the Lord. The conditioned soul suffering from various tribulations because of existing in this material world can be relieved only when he seeks shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. So continuing with the prayers of the Devatas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being pleased with the prayers of the Devatas, has appeared in that arena where the battle is going on between all the Asuras and the Devatas. And a great demon, Vitrasura, that has come out of the Yagna, is about to finish all the Devatas. He's such a powerful demon and so huge that when Devatas were firing or were shooting their arrows and were fighting him with his arms, he was simply swallowing up all their weapons. It had no effect on him. That was the power of Vitrasura. So the Devatas are all very concerned. They realize that they are helpless. In one sense, it was a blessing, because only when you become helpless, you can surrender to the Supreme Lord. So they became helpless, and in that helpless state, they surrendered to the Supreme Lord, seeking for protection from this great demon, Vitrasura. So the Supreme Lord has made his appearance, and the Devatas are very pleased, very happy. And they are further offering prayers to the Supreme Lord, prayers for protection. In one of the previous verses, of course, we read also that how we should actually ask for the Lord only one thing: give me pure devotional service, and nothing else should be our prayer. That is a very advanced stage. Prayers for protection is also bona fide. That is also devotional service. But then asking the Lord for protecting me is something like a child is asking his father, please protect me. The father knows that the child needs to be protected. And even without asking, the father will protect the child. We read this in 2 verses before this, or one or 2 verses before this. So nevertheless, because it's a situation where they are all full of fear and anxiety, great distress because he's standing in front of them, so naturally the prayer for protection came out and from them, and the Lord has appeared. And so this is another prayer that they are making. They are glorifying the Supreme Lord because he has appeared, so they are glorifying him with wonderful prayers. So what is this prayer? This prayer is, Dear Lord, you are omniscient. He knows everything. And therefore you know very well why we have taken shelter at your lotus feet. There's no need for us to tell us. So now they are saying, which your lotus feet, which provides shade that gives relief from all material disturbances. The example that Srila Prabhupada gives is just like a tree. If you come under the shelter of the shade of a huge tree, immediately the distress from the heat of the scorching sun is immediately mitigated. All that you need to do is come under the shade. If you're feeling distressed because of the heat of the scorching sun, just come under the shade of a tree. Automatically, the suffering from that scorching sun goes away. So in the same way, your lotus feet, which provide shade that gives relief from all material disturbances. Since you are the Supreme Master and you know everything, we have sought shelter of your lotus feet for your instruction. Please give us relief by counteracting our present distress. Your lotus feet are the only shelter for a fully surrendered devotee and are the only means for subduing all the tribulations of this material world. It's a very nice prayer, very nice realization. The lotus feet is the only means and the only shelter for subduing what? For subduing all the tribulations of the material world, for giving relief from all material disturbances. So that is the prayer. So the Devatas are very distressed here, and here it is written here, Vrijina Samsara. Vrijina means dangerous samsara, dangerous material world. And here one word is used, Parishrama. Parishrama is the pain that everyone is going through in this material world. So the scriptures describe very nicely about how dangerous this samsara is. You can imagine the Devatas, they are so exalted, even they are facing with such a dangerous situation. It's a life-threatening situation. A huge demon is standing in front of them. And they are great devotees. Devatas are not ordinary personalities. Even they are going through it. So we must always remember this, that this material world is like, as it says, padam padam yat vipadam. Every moment, every step, there is a danger. No matter what you do, you cannot come out of this danger unless you take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, means unless you surrender to the Lord. So reminding ourselves about the nature of the material world is very, very important. Because such a situation was created for the Devatas, they surrendered. So if we can remember that we are actually always in such a situation, we will be always in a mood of surrender. If we do not remember the true nature of this material world, it's a dangerous place. Vrijina samsara. Vrijina means dangerous position. We will not be able to surrender. That's why in our scriptures always stress, we must smara nitya anityatam. Padam padam yat vipadam. Every step there is a danger. That's why every day in the morning we sing Samsara dava analila loka. Dava anala. It's like a forest fire. And the scriptures have captured this dangerous position in a very nice, here the word parishram is used. So they have captured this dangerous condition of this material world with a little more descriptive detail. They have analyzed what is the danger or what is the situation of this material world in this per varga. Per varga like this, ka varga, ka kha ga ga na cha, then this cha varga like this. There's a per varga in the Sanskrit alphabets. It's come. Per varga means pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. And this per varga describes the nature of this material world. Here that first word is used, parishram. So what is the meaning of parishram? Parishram means we're all working very hard in this material world. Parishram means heavy work. Working, nobody wants to work, but everybody is forced to work. And we work hard for what? We work hard finally for eating, sleeping, mating, defending. The result of hard work is to get some economic gain, which results in sense gratification, which is eating, sleeping, mating, defending. And the scriptures explain nicely that and the example for this parishram is given to be an ass. Ass works very hard because it is loaded with a big quantity of clothes. The clothes don't belong to him, but he simply his master loads him with a big quantity of clothes, and at the end of the day gives him a little grass. Works very hard, carrying a huge load. That's his only job, carry huge load. He doesn't realize that the grass is available anywhere, and I can get the grass anywhere. I can easily get. Why I have to work so hard? So in the material world, similarly, we're working very hard for eating, sleeping, mating, defending, which is available even to the animal species. Animals also eat, sleep, mate, defend, and they don't do any such as a specific example, but it is arranged. It is arranged for everyone. So why we have to work so hard? Isn't there a simpler way to arrange the situation in this material world and spend time for spiritual development, for spiritual advancement, for simple, high thinking, simple living and high thinking? But we have not made our life simple living, we have made our life parishram, hard living, hard working. Even material world, this simple living, high thinking, everybody understands and appreciates it. But we just want to accumulate more and more and more, work hard. That's why the new trend is to these days work very hard. And by age of 45, you take early retirement because the energy is completely drained out. So parishram. Okay. Parishram, and then per means fain. Per means pain. Pain means so hard work that foam comes out of our mouth. You've seen sometimes horses, when they run very hard, foam comes out from their mouth. So this is the level of hard work that we are foaming in our mouth. So much labor. Per, then bur. And after hard work also, we should feel, okay, I've worked so hard, now there will be relief. Now my situation is set well. Everything is arranged because I have put in hard work. No. Bur means bhaya. After hard work also, you're full of fear whether my hard work will really pay off, whether I will get the desired result. You may not get the desired result. You may put in a lot of hard work, but still there is fear in the material world. You ask anybody. Everybody is working hard and everybody is full of fear. So what is the use of such a hard work when there is still fear existing? Actually, this is bha. This is bha. This is the fourth one, bhaya. Before that, bha. Bha means vyartha. Vyartha means after this hard work, so much that foam is there in your mouth, everything ultimately is not successful. The result is failure. You ask anybody in we know it. Like recently there was an article that somebody, he was drawing 1 crore rupees package. Amazon or somewhere he was working at some big company. 1 crore rupees package. He thought I can earn more. Not satisfied with what he thought I can earn more. And so he gave up that 1 crore per annum salary and started a startup. Because in startup, unlimited scope. You can become a billionaire in startup. These days it is like that. He left that job, started a startup. Startup means we know that data also, majority of them end in failure. So his startup ended in failure. And he's writing his realization. How I gave up a 1 crore rupees job to start a startup, ending in failure, totally frustrated. Pa means byartha. And so, fear sets him. I work hard, it results in failure, so fear sets him. And like this, the whole life goes, working hard, fearing, failure, and the result at the end of the life, ma is mrityu. We die. This is material life, varga. So, if we want to come out of this varga, we have to take shelter. Here it is mentioned, the only way for subduing all the tribulations and getting relief from all material disturbances, we have to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So, how by taking shelter of the lotus feet you can get... So, this suffering is described as an ocean of suffering. Ocean, you can... And this is not just the material ocean, we know what the material ocean is. This is like a bhava sagara. Bhava sagara is like an impossible ocean to cross over. And the example is given, just like an ocean that we know of on this planet, Pacific Ocean, a huge vast ocean, not so easy to cross over. But if we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which is described to be like a boat, samsara samashrita ye pada pallava plavam. Samashrita means if you take ashrita of pada pallava means the lotus feet of the feet of the Lord, which is described like a flower. Here also the same example, shatapalasha, a lotus flower with hundreds of petals. It's a beautiful... So the Lord's feet is being described as a lotus with hundreds of petals, means it's something very special. So if you take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, then this ocean, which is so difficult to cross over, this huge ocean becomes water. This expanse of water becomes water that can be contained in a calf's hoof print. A calf, small calf, hoof, the hoof. And when it makes a small impression, a small depression on the surface of the earth. And how much water can be contained in a calf's hoof print? You can easily cross over it. Hundreds of such oceans we can cross over simply by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which acts like a boat with which you can cross over, hundreds such, small ocean. The huge ocean becomes like this, reduced. And they go back to the Vaikuntha, not remain in the material world, which is padam yat vipadam, na tesham. They don't remain in the material world. So this is the benefit of taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. So what it means now, here in this verse it is said, you want to get rid of all this tribulation, just take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. And Bhagavatam also has this verse, that if you take shelter of the lotus feet, then it becomes so easy to cross over all the sufferings. So what it means to take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, Prabhupada writes in one letter to his disciple, very nicely, how we can take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. I have already instructed you and all my students that the restless, fickle mind can only be controlled by putting the mind to the lotus feet of the Lord. So here also the word only is there. In today's purport also, the only when one seeks the lotus feet of the Lord. So here in the letter also Prabhupada is writing that the restless, fickle mind, very nice word. Mind is restless and fickle. Everyone's mind is like this. Can only be controlled by putting the mind to the lotus feet of the Lord, and that can best be done by chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Fickle mind can be controlled only by putting it at the lotus feet of the Lord, and that can best be done by chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And the letter continues, there is no alternative in this age. And further, the letter continues, how to chant is also written, by chanting without offenses. The devotee cries to Radharani and Krishna to please lift him out of the material energy and put him into the spiritual energy, which is devotional service. So this is the way to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, by chanting, as it is direct devotional service, by chanting and here Shravanam Kirtanam. If we are strongly fixed up in this Apavarga, this Pavarga becomes Apavarga. Then the Bhagavatam, it is said, Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Samvido Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Katha. Satam Prasangam. If in the association of devotees you hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what happens? Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Samvido means the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Mama Virya Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Katha. The heart, it's like nectar. Hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is like nectar for the heart and for the ear. Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Tad Joshanad Ashu Apavargami. So Pavarga is this Parishram, Fain and all that. Tad Joshanad. And now this is the most important word in this whole verse. Tad Joshanad. Joshanad means you have to cultivate this hearing and chanting. And this is also what Prabhupada is writing later, chanting without offenses. So this is a cultivation, a process which has to be done every day, very strictly, very seriously. Chanting is very simple, but one must practice it seriously. And this is the word Joshanad. That Joshanad means cultivate, means every day mindfully chanting, soulfully chanting, chanting with attention, trying to see that the mind doesn't go away. If the mind goes away, trying to bring back the mind into hearing. That Joshanad. If you do that, Ashu Apavargami. Ashu means very quickly we can come out and we will get liberated. Apavargami. Pavarga, Apavarga. Vartmani, you will progress. And not only that, Shraddha, see the beautiful results of just Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir, Anukramishyati. Along with that, you will develop strong faith, Shraddha, you will develop attachment for the Supreme Lord, Shraddha, Ratir, and you will finally develop your full-fledged love of God, pure devotion, Bhakti. Anukramishyati, these things will naturally follow. Automatically it will follow. You come under the shade of a tree, automatically, immediately, you get relief. You take to this process of Joshanad, then automatically Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir, Apavarga, everything will follow. So these are the beautiful results of taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord by chanting and hearing attentively. So here, in the verse it is said, in the purport Prabhupada's writing, you are the only shelter. It is in the translation, only shelter and the only means. So, we have to make, we have to be fully Krishna conscious. We should have this confidence that Krishna is the only shelter. He is the only means. There is no other alternative. And this is like here there's no other alternative for subduing all tribulations. I have to follow everything that Krishna says. Prabhupada gives one very nice comparison of how he's explaining this point of how Arjuna, how he was before and what he was instructed by the Lord, and by surrendering and how he surrendered to the Lord. Krishna tells Arjuna, Yudhyasva Vigata Jura, you have to fight. Yudhyasva Vigata Jura means give up your, Jwara means give up your lethargy and fight. Yudhyasva. And Krishna, Shishyasteyam, he surrendered like all the Devatas are surrendering to the Lord. Now, after Krishna spoke the 700 verses, and Krishna told him, now do as you like, Arjuna should have said, I am ready to fight. Correct? Because Yudhyasva Vigata, you fight. And after studying, he should have said, I am ready to fight. Now, you fight was one instruction of Krishna. And for which he gave so many instructions, he to bring him out of this illusion because he was not fighting. He forgot his duty. So at the end, Arjuna does not say, I will fight. He says, Karishye vachanam tava. He says, I will not only fight, I will do anything and everything that you say. Everything, all your vachanam, Karishye, you tell me, whatever you tell me, I will do, not just fight. This is surrender. This is, Krishna is the only means, he is the only shelter. These are the words that is used. Because if he is the only means, as he is the only shelter, I can't just take one instruction. I have to take all the instructions of Krishna and follow it. And so, this is in the translation. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes a beautiful line. Therefore, he's summing it up in the purport. The whole concern of the conditioned soul, see the whole, not just the concern, but the whole concern of the conditioned soul should be the lotus feet of the Lord. Nothing else should be our concern. This should be our only, the whole concern should be because only when he seeks shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, the conditioned soul suffering from various tribulations can get relieved. So these are the wonderful things. The Devatas have taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, knowing that that is the only way, there is no other way. The material world is full of tribulations, full of sufferings, and this should be our whole concern, surrendering to the lotus feet, which, as is explained, can be done simply by hearing and chanting, and rendering devotional service also. We must remember two things. Not just taking to chanting and here, we are engaged in whole day's devotional service, interaction with, dealing with so many people, dealing with devotees during all this process. All these things, chanting and hearing is most important. That is what comes out. But apart from that, we cannot neglect our daily seva, especially when it comes to when we are doing a devotional service in the midst of all the devotees. So once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a very nice instruction of how you achieve the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. He said, Prabhu kahe, he tells two things that we need to do to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Prabhu kahe, Vaishnav seva, nama sankirtana. Prabhu kahe, Vaishnav seva, nama sankirtana, dui karo, shigre pabe, Shri Krishna charana. Prabhu kahe, Vaishnav seva, nama sankirtana, dui karo, shigre pabe, Shri Krishna charana. Both these things we must remember. Otherwise it will be like the first offense, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy name. Vaishnav seva also. Vaishnav seva means you should be serving the devotees, and the whole day we are serving devotees. We are serving devotees and the deities. And if you do this nicely, with good quality, without any offenses, shigre pabe, Shri Krishna, very quickly you will get the lotus feet of the Lord. So all the Devatas are praying, and their prayers will continue like this. They have already surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and then we'll see how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how He protects them. So Krishna is always protecting us, We just have to be surrendered souls. Our whole concern should be Krishna consciousness, His lotus feet, chanting, reading, and doing nice service, good quality. Quality is very important. Then we will feel the Lord's presence and His protection. So these are the few things. We'll end here. Grantaraj, Srimad